South Alabama obviously is no stranger to us. We've had 5 really competitive contests with these guys in the last 5 years, with us winning each game at home and those guys winning each game there in Mobile. So it's always been a tough challenge to go there and play. They've got an outstanding team. I really feel like, you look at their record, don't let that fool you. They had an Idaho team really, I felt like, beat and outplayed an Idaho team there in Mobile, and somehow Idaho came away with the wins. But they've had some quality wins this year, and sort of remind me a little bit of ourselves. They've played really well at times and had a quality win. They've got some really good players. Jeremy Reeves, I think, is one of the better defensive players in this conference. I think offensively, their running back, I think their quarterback, Dallas Davis, he was tough last year. I think they've settled in there, and he does a really good job of running that offense. So I just think this is a very good football team that obviously has had some big wins as of late, and so it's going to be a big challenge. We know a lot about these guys. Obviously, I think they do a great job across the board, but Joey Jones does a great job. He's been there a long time, built that program to what it is today, and is just, to me, one of the top coaches in this conference. His offensive line coach, obviously I gave him his first job. His strength coach there at South Alabama was my starting center for 4 years at North Alabama and won the Outland Award. So I know what that guy's about too. So real familiar with their program, with their staff, and it'll be a big challenge for us to move forward and go over there and try to get back to 500, which would be a huge plus, considering we would still have 4 games left to play. And so a lot of ball left to be played. Kids had a great practice last night, ton of spirit, ton of energy. They really starting to feel themselves, I think, know that the opportunities are still there. And they just want to go out and show that they're a much better team than what we showed this past week. So, any questions?
What do you think it is about you guys and them, especially you guys going there? Is it them getting up for you all? Is it just being evenly matched?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I think most games obviously have been pretty evenly matched. And, I remember, I think it was 4 years ago when we were undefeated in the conference. We just lost Broadway. We go over there and they obviously beat us, and we end up having to share that title. But they've always been tough at home, especially, and then each game has always been highly contested. So it'll be another big game this Saturday.
What do you guys get out of the 5 weeks?
Well, our kids got to catch up on some academics. When you have 7 road games, you miss 7 classes. You miss each one of those classes 7 times. That's a lot of missed classes. And so hopefully, moving forward, we don't have near as many road games in the future, but able to catch up academically, that was big. Had 3 big practices last week, got back in weight room, worked on some fundamentals, and then this weekend, or last week also, we had 3 future scrimmages with our future players, and that was big to be able to spend some extra time with the young guys, the guys that are redshirting. So we got a lot of work in with those guys at the end of each practice, and that was good to see some guys compete and get to play. Sometimes those guys sort of get forgotten because they're down on the scout teams. And was able to get those guys some good work at the end of each practice last week, and then started normal game week this Sunday, and players are off today, and we come back resume tomorrow.
Did you get back all the concussion guys? Where do things stand with the quarterback?
Yep, they are all those guys are making their way back. They never let them come back day one and just be full speed. So they're indoctrinating them back each day. We expect to have all 4 of those guys back, which is a big plus. It's not for sure yet, but that is where they're telling us right now. And then obviously how Nunez responds will depend on if he's available to play or not. Jordan last night took all the snaps with the ones, and so we'll see how that shakes down moving forward.
Do you expect, though, Jordan, since he has gotten all his work with the ones?
Yeah, I would say right now, obviously since he had all of last week, and then obviously got the full practice last night, so I would see definitely him obviously getting to play. And then we had Deion Ray got some reps last night along with Levi Lewis in case Nunez is not cleared, for either this game or extended period of time. So we'll sort of see how that moves forward.
Coach, since there's been so much inconsistency at who's playing at quarterback, do you feel pressure to name a starter and get a starter in there and just keep him in there for the rest of the season?
To my quarterback?
Yeah.
Oh, no question. We said that week 2. I mean, you'd love to have just one guy. Unfortunately, injuries took a little bit of toll on that. We felt like we had our guy with Jordan. He got hurt against Texas A&M, and then Andre started. And so then you're going back and forth based on who gets, somebody injured and things like that. So, you'd love to settle in on one guy. We have not been able to do that yet, and hopefully we can do that here in the near future.
So you mentioned Levi, though. Now is it back to that they slim possibility?
Well, both quarterbacks go down. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a quarterback available. So sort of just making sure he's at least ready to go, because if for some reason Nunez is not cleared, maybe he's not cleared for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, and then something happens to Jordan quickly, then you may have to have that option available, because Dion, is just our Wildcat guy. He's a guy that wouldn't be able to throw effectively enough. We feel like in a game, can run the lights out, but he can throw the deep ball well too. But just the every down quarterback, but that's sort of, we're really not to that point yet. But right now with Jordan, practiced it really well last night. He should get the start on Saturday.
Would you guys be prepared to make an in-game decision on that if need be?
I don't know yet. Yeah, it depends. A lot of this is going to depend on Andre Nunez, on how he responds this week and how he makes it back.
Winthrow, I understand he's back, but what about guys like Denarius Howard, Travis Crawford?
Yeah. Denarius did practice a little bit last week. He practiced last night. We really need to get him back. Those guys have sort of been out of sight, out of mind. They've been out for so long. Travis Crawford's almost to the point now where he could get this year back, and so I may even visit with him, which I have visited with him about the possibility if he's not able to come back here within a week or two, he would have an opportunity to return next year. And now you're talking about another returning starter you're adding back to your defense, because he hasn't even been in the mix in quite a while. And if he did come back from injury, probably would, at this point, would not be a starter at this point, because our secondary, we feel like we've got him where we want him at this point. So he'd be a depth guy, but definitely is a heck of a player that we'd love to get back on the field. So that's a possibility. That's something we have kicked around. If he does not make it back, probably by this week, we may look to see if we can get him back for one more year.
So
All right.
This is an extra long bye week. It's not just your typical bye week. You got those couple extra days.
Yeah.
Do you have any extra concerns about kind of coming off an extra few days of
long break? 16 days is quite a while for an open date. We've in this conference, it's a 5 week preparation, then it's a 16-day preparation, then it's getting ready for a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, and that's the world you live in the Sun Belt. And so it's definitely, we're not the only team in this conference has to deal with that, but it's not ideal having 16 days off, that much downtime, because already we were not real sharp in some areas. And then you don't play for 16 days, and you're wanting to stay sharp and trying. So that's why we had to go a little bit of live work last week and get some live tackling in, some live execution in, all those things that you're going to see on Friday or Saturdays when you play a team that's going full speed. So that's always the concern, always the challenge with so much of a long layoff.
How would you like seeing your defense during this time off? Have you seen things that you like?
Yeah, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I liked what I saw leading up to, before the Arkansas State game. And we had made so much progress leading up to that game. But you know what? There in the first half, almost for the first half, except for that last drive before half, our defense played well enough for us to win the game. The first 7 points of the first half was not even given up by the defense; it was given up by the offense. And so they still were competitive in a lot of ways. Offensively, we were not competitive at all. But I thought for a while they tried to keep us in the game. They got the big turnover when it was 14-3 at the 25. We're at the 25-yard line. They handed us the ball, and we didn't score. If you score there, it's 14-10. The momentum swings back our way. So defensively, it wasn't all broke, although we didn't play as well as we did the first 2 weeks. So hopefully we can get back to playing like we did the prior 2 weeks. But you know what? That was a much better offense too. And so we held them just about to their average with not much help from the offense. And so a lot of short 3-and-outs. They were on the field most of the game. And so obviously that has a lot to do with that also. So we got to continue getting better. But I really expect our defense to really pick up and play well.
You talked about not letting Arkansas State beat you twice. I feel like
Yeah.
Able to put it behind them.
I think they've put that behind them. We had a great team meeting, great talk, and I think they've definitely put that behind them. And, you look across the spectrum, each week in college football, and there's a game just pops up like that, and where a team did not play well. We didn't. We was one of them, and we did not play as well as we would have liked, especially when we lost the momentum. Had some chances to steal the momentum back, never did, and then obviously in the second half the game got away from us, and give them credit. And so. But these guys, they still know 5 games left in the regular season, a lot of football left to be played, and these guys they're battling, they're working hard, they got some great attitudes. That's why I love coaching these guys. This group has been a fun group to coach because they do work hard, they've got good attitudes, they've pulled together, and we'll see how this team can respond and how they finish.
You talked last week about how you guys hadn't really scratched the surface on some things. Besides cleaning up the turnover situation, which you talked about, what else can be done that hasn't been done at this point in different areas?
Offensively, you talking?
You kind of made it more of a broad thing, so
Yeah.
either side.
Yeah, I just think one, you got to execute. Number one thing, you got to execute. You got to play with some relentless effort. And if you execute and play with great effort, and you know your assignment, then chances are you're going to succeed on that upcoming play. And so we've got to have more consistency. We've had a lot of guys we've had to roll in, especially in the second half in the secondary, that didn't even practice very much last week, and that showed. So our backups, they've got to get more repetitions. They've got to prepare like they're starters. And so when they're called on, they can come in and execute at a high level. And so that's part of the game. And so we've got to pick that part of it up. But, these kids have done that at practice, and it's what we're seeing. And so been really proud of these guys. These guys are battling. These guys they're going to finish this year, I think, really strong. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
I asked you this last year too, but what's your Halloween plans?
You know what? The Halloween plans for the Hudspeth family, we have obviously a lot of trick-or-treaters just in our home alone. So we'll get a little bit of trick-or-treating tomorrow night. And so we've got every costume known to man just about. So that'll be fun. We're going to let our coaches, we're going to come in extra early tomorrow and let our coaches get home at a decent hour so they can take their little boys and little girls trick-or-treating tomorrow night. I know that'll be a big night for a lot of these kids. And so can't tell you what mine's going to be, because if you see me, you'll know who I am. So that way I can fly under the radar.
You ever seen a kid come dressed up as you?
Oh yeah, matter of fact, my first year here, little boy come to the house, had a visor on, had the coaching shirt, had the whistle. Oh yeah, we've had a couple of those.